feeling like I'm Akademiks. Can't ride no
Probably lead with the Boosie thing, right? Yeah. So this Boosie thing is kind of like interesting, chat. And I want to give y'all a real quick summary, right? Boosie dismissed. So Boosie and let me see. Yeah. Okay. So Boosie had gotten this federal gun charge, right? To make a long story short, Boosie goes to San Diego. Boosie goes to do a video with some guy who was offering him, I forgot if it was like 20 or 30,000. You know, Boosie's one of those rappers. When he get to the city, he'll send out a little post, or he has his manager send out a post. Street niggas who trying to get on and rap because they're trying to get out the streets, they'll be like, yo, Boosie, I got 30 grand for you. Give me a verse. Boosie will pull up on them. It don't matter who it is. Go get his money and record a verse. That's the type of rapper he is. That's how he hustles. He probably gets more off of that and doing shows like in like a local. So you don't hear Boosie selling out like 5,000 people. Boosie's kind of doing like less than 1,000, but like he's a hustler. He's going to that city trying to make sure he could get 80, 90, 100,000 out of that city by doing various things. A couple of shout outs. So you want to post on the gram? Got you. You want a verse? Got you. Like he's moving around. You want me to hop in a video? Got you. Let me do this show. He's that type of a hustler. Goes to San Diego, links with some hood niggas, some gangsters, you might say. Those guys are under federal surveillance, right? Like he just like walked into the fucking rat trap, right? And they're like, who's this guy that just pulled up? They're like, oh, it's Boosie. They run his file real quick. They realize he's a convicted felon. There's a guy who, again, you don't need to snitch on a street nigga these days. They always reserve the right to snitch on themselves. One of the guys is on Instagram Live, right? Not realizing the feds is watching them. He goes live on Instagram Live. The feds is looking through their camera and sees that Boosie has a gun on his hip. Okay, Boosie's a convicted felon. They make a traffic stop. And then they basically charge him with gun possession. He basically says, the guns ain't mine. These ain't mine, okay? Basically said, that's my security gun, right? Now, again, the cops had the feds had a pretty decent case. They're like, we get it. Your security could have weapons, but there's video proof of you having it on your waistband, okay? And also, supposedly, the security took accountability for one gun at first. So there was some... There was a lot of discrepancies between the statements. They thought they were going to prosecute Boosie, and then a Hail Mary happens. Like, I've never seen this before. Now, it's known, even if you don't know the law, like, if you're a felon, you can't have a gun. That's usually a special charge if you have a gun. Felon in possession of a gun, right? And he caught the charge, but it was dismissed after they brought up this other charge from a guy named Duarte. Right? Stephen Shorty Duarte. And that guy somehow, convinced a circuit judge in federal court that basically his Second Amendment rights were being infringed upon, even though he was a felony. He was classified as a felon. The argument that he made was that, back in those days, what I became a felon for would have not been to the level of what it meant to be a felon then. Somehow the courts agreed with him and allowed him to basically have a gun as a felon, and also pretty much waived his charge. Boosie got off on the same thing, right? Now, this is historic. Keep in mind, most of these rappers are felons, so they technically can't have a gun. How many times have we heard rappers who get caught and get arrested get, hemmed up on some shit because they're not supposed to have a gun? So this was about to set up for a whole legal precedent that everybody was going to use Boosie's case and this Stephen Shorty case to say, yo, check this out. If they could have a gun and they're felons, why can't I have a gun? And that was going to be something that eventually the Supreme Court would have probably have to rule again, or at least clarify, right? Anyway, so the case got dismissed. Boosie went on Vlad, talked about it. Boosie came out of court crying, right? He was elated. There's a couple of videos. We don't have to necessarily get into it. But what happened today, or not today, actually a few days ago, and it was interesting in the Vlad TV interview, he even says, yo, I'm finna go to Disneyland with my family because I'm going to go celebrate the fact that it seems that I'm now legally allowed to have a gun, and they waive this gun charge that they gave me. However, the feds, clearly not wanting this to be something that could be a precedent that goes against probably thousands of cases of them arresting people for felon in possession of a gun, they came back with another indictment to get Boosie locked up on this same charge of him having a gun. Now, this is gonna it was befuddling to me then. It's still befuddling to me now. Let me explain why. Quickly, there's something called double jeopardy, right? We all kind of know that in the terms when it comes to the law, you can't prosecute a person for the same offense. Okay. If you guys ever watch a movie called Fractured, that's actually that's one of the main themes of that movie. So it's a movie that's pretty much a legal movie. But it's a thinking legal movie. You can't prosecute somebody for the same thing. So basically, O.J. Simpson got found not guilty of killing those people, right? He could literally walk out of court and be like, damn, I just beat the case. But really, I did do it. And nothing could happen to him. Now, obviously, there's going to be civil suits, and obviously, it would make no sense for him to admit it. But technically, in the eyes of the law, he couldn't be charged again with murder, even if he admitted to doing it right after he got off the case. Now, a few things that we get to realize with double jeopardy, because I think there's some misconceptions. Not because you went to court for one thing, you could never go back to court for it. For example, if you get charged with a gun by the state, you could get charged by a gun by the feds. Like the feds don't have to be like, oh, you're already charged by the state, and we're not going to charge you. So you could get charged for the same thing twice, one on the state level, one on the feds level, right? So that's one thing. Second of all, apparently the double jeopardy thing only applies to when the course of the case has came to what's called a disposition. So if the case hasn't been disposed in a sense of, are you guilty or innocent, or was it a no contest, whatever the official disposition was, that double jeopardy doesn't apply. So in Boosie's case, the reason why it's not double jeopardy, because they're charging with the same thing. And the way how they got it, I'll bring up some of the court papers here. This is a complaint. Where is it? Is it here? Okay. Yeah, it is here. What the fuck? Sorry. So, in the case with Boosie, right? They basically grant hold on. Am I tripping? Okay. They basically came back with a grand jury, which, by the way, it's kind of interesting. This says February 2023 grand jury, but regardless, they're now unsealing it now, and they're presenting it now, so they're indicting him now, right? But apparently the grand jury had met on this and had agreed to indict him, but I believe that they indicted him a different way, I think through a complaint. Anyway, regardless, let's not get into legal mumbo jumbo. I know sometimes I'd be bored with that. The feds found another way to indict him again, but this time it looks like they don't give a fuck, right? So they indicted him through a grand jury for a couple of things. Number one is felon in possession of a firearm and ammunition. Second is unlawful user / addict in possession of a firearm and ammunition. Now, truth be told, this second one is a little bit odd. Now, for anybody who are gun connoisseurs, y'all obviously know, like, I have a lot of guns. I'm into collecting guns and shooting guns, whatever. I fill out a lot of these forms, right? Like, it's the same form that Kodak went to jail for. It's an ATF form. You have to fill it out every time you legally buy a gun. And you have to basically self-swear these affirmations that you're not these list of banned things that would prevent you from having a gun. Like, for example, if you have a domestic violence conviction on your record, you cannot have a gun, right? If you're a felon, you can't have a gun. If you ever participated in any treasonous acts against the United States, you can't have a gun, right? If you've ever renounced your United States citizen, you can't have a gun, right? And they ask you these things like, have you done this, blah, blah. There's also one question that asks, are you an addict? Like, it's kind of like an innocuous. It's not innocuous. It's just kind of like a weird question. It's just like, hey, are you addicted to any drugs? And it's an odd question because have you ever met a drug addict that just tells you he's addicted to drugs? Like, we've never met that at all, right? Now, granted, the addiction that they're talking about is illegal substances. So, if you're addicted to a vape pen, that doesn't matter, right? But if you're addicted to motherfucking, crack cocaine, like, that's a controlled substance, and yeah, that matters. So, essentially, they're saying that Boosie is an addict. Now, I've never heard that Boosie is unless they're talking about, like, he's addicted to pot, like marijuana, which is federally still banned. What, is Boosie on crack? I don't know. Now, supposedly, when you look into some of the, here we go. Is this a count? Okay. So the first count is that, then the second count is this. Hold on. Yeah. So they're saying he was an unlawful user of controlled substances and knowing he was addicted to the controlled substance, he possessed a firearm. I don't know what Boosie was addicted on, but they're basically saying this nigga was a crackhead. You know what I'm saying? Now, from what I hear, some of the supporting documents that the prosecutor's trying to use is that Boosie had drug charges in the past, but all the drug charges clearly had to do with him distributing drugs, not taking drugs. He never got caught with, like, a 15 needles sticking in his arm, or like a fucking pile of coke that he was just snorting and residue was right around it. So clearly the feds don't want this to be a thing. I guess that's what I said a lot to say this. This is a charge the feds always get people. I think they got Gucci for this, right? Gucci did all that time for that. They don't want the precedents to be overturned or set with a famous rapper like Boosie, that now it pretty much sends a message that the court agrees that a felon could have a gun. So they're trying their best to make sure it's not like, well, it wasn't really overturned, it was just dismissed. They're trying to make sure that Boosie go to jail, that it strengthens all of these other arrests that they do, and also doesn't set precedents for mad appeals. Because if I'm a felon that got locked up for having a gun, nigga, and I see Boosie, who's a felon, get his case dismissed, I'm filing an appeal instantly. Like, what the fuck? Let's go down this route. If he got off, that's how court usually works. So anyway, they indicted him, and this is the indictment paper. So it's two counts. The first count is he's previously convicted of a crime punishable by an imprisonment for a term of exceeding 1 year, which is usually known as a felony. And then he had a Glock 19, right? And they have the serial number. So felon in possession, and then addict possessing a weapon, right? What is this? A forfeiture? What is this? They want him to forfeit any firearms and any ammunition he might have. Okay. Now, a little bit more on that is that they also, give me a second. They also mentioned that there's a related case. They also mentioned the related case in the one that just got dismissed. And they're basically saying, yes, it's a related case where he just got dismissed. But they're saying that they have some other facts that I don't know what the fuck they're really trying to say. But they're just saying that there's a related case. I think they have to say that according to the law. Other than that, they want his ass to get locked up immediately. Show you that. Feds play dirty, man. I think the feds tired of the feds been catching mad L's low key. They're tired of it, bro. They lost to Youngboy. Yo, imagine they're just losing to niggas from like Louisiana. Like, say, man, like, I ain't losing to. If I'm the feds, I'm not losing to a bunch of niggas who start every fucking sentence with say. Fuck that. You know what I mean? You lose to NBA Youngboy and Boosie. Oh hell no. Oh hell no. Like, come on, bro. These niggas don't even look like they're the sharpest tools in the fucking toolbox, man. Fuck all that. That's why I think they going hard. Like, come on, look at who they losing to. Yeah. So they basically said they put a warrant out first, And this was, I think this is a warrant right here. They wanted his ass to get locked up immediately. Is it this? They basically put out a warrant that he was supposed to get arrested this Wednesday. His lawyer, Megan Blanco, basically made a whole thing of why he shouldn't be locked up and he should allow to be turned. He should allow to. Do not show my email. Why he shouldn't get locked up, and why he should. Here we go. Why he shouldn't get locked up, and why he should be allowed to turn himself in. They basically said he self-surrendered and posted bail for the other case. He didn't run, and they're saying the lawyer said they're celebrating the 80th anniversary of the date of my family that was liberated from this Megan Blanco girl's pulling out all the stops. Hey, I'm celebrating the 80th anniversary of the date my family was liberated from World War II concentration camps. Oh my God. Damn. I'm not laughing because that's funny. I'm just saying, shit. That's like a heavy one that a judge got to be like, damn, I can't violate over this, right? I returned to the district on Saturday, and blah, blah, blah. I spoke to the AUSA, indicated that they would not recall the warrant or issue a summons, and basically that they would not direct law enforcement to arrest him until Wednesday, but could not guarantee that they won't arrest him. So essentially, they came up with a plan to say, yo, if y'all could just delay Boosie getting locked up, have him turn himself in, I want to be there. And the judge basically agreed. The judge said, okay, cool. So Boosie is going to have to turn himself in and start all over again with this process. Which, by the way, don't the feds just... It feels like the feds, they love when you running up them court costs, man. So this was the order. The order was this. It says... It's hereby ordered that the motion to recall the arrest warrant is granted. The warrant of arrest should be recalled, and Mr. Hatch is directed to appear for arraignment on the indictment before her Honorable Kathy Ann Bencivengo on Friday, August 2nd. Okay, so the defense is going to notify him of his order, and he's supposed to turn himself in. All right. Now, Boosie obviously was not that happy with that, and I can see why. Like, the dude's on vacation. He thought he was celebrating a win. Instead, he's getting hit with, no, nigga. No. You're going to go through more shit. He says, yo, I'm on vacation with my family. My lawyer called me and say, this federal prosecutor, M. Wheat, which, by the way, I think this is a bad idea. Don't call out the prosecutor. We all know that from the Tory case, you call out the prosecutor. Trust me, they're people too. They're not drones. So when they go home and now your famous rapper calls them out, they're going to be like, I'm going to go 20 times harder, right? Like, I'm going to go 20 times harder to show that I'm not no unfair person or blah, blah, blah. It says, my lawyer called me and said this federal prosecutor, and Weed has indicted me again on the same charge and added a charge that I was a drug addict. He says it's wrong. Drug attack. No, he was a drug addict. An addict around a firearm? Why didn't you charge me with that the first time? The judge has ruled at this point, you're making this a circus. It says, the judge has ruled. At this point, you're making it a circus. This has to be unconstitutional. This shows how far these devils will go to try and stop a successful black man with a voice. This man has a serious vendetta of hate against me. He wants to be a character in a movie. He doesn't respect the courts. He is racist and has no respect for the courts. If I wasn't Boosie, this would not be happening to me. The same man looked at me and said, wipe me down. On my first court appearance, LOL, he's obsessed. I've never seen nothing like this in my damn life. 30 of us on vacation, and I get this news. He put his hardest battles on his strongest soldiers. God got me. This man doesn't respect the law. Tell a president, pardon this bullshit. Okay? By the way, because it's a federal charge, well, I don't know if a president could pardon before it gets to that point, but I guess like if there was going to be a pardon process, and let's say they were going to pardon Boosie, they would just have Boosie plead guilty, and then they would pardon him, right? So I don't know if a president would make this pardon though, right? But again, how it works allegedly with the pardoning process works is about who you know. And if you know a few people that know a few people, your lawyer's connected to the super PACs and the people who donate to this guy in power. When it's time to like, all right, I'm getting out of office. Let me give everybody a little bit of something. Everybody who's been beneficial to that particular president, they get like almost damn near favor. All right, we'll pardon you on this. You know, obviously we've seen Kodak Black get pardoned, and also Lil Wayne get pardoned, and that supposedly was because of the guy we had on, which I'm trying to make my friend, Bradford Cohen. Bradford Cohen is really locked in with Trump, and you know, by the way, he's the one who hit me and was like, "Yo, you think Rick Ross would want to have?" And I'm like, "Shit, I don't know, but." Shit, I try to help y'all out in case I need y'all niggas one time. I don't do crime. But anyway, yeah, shit. Let's see if Biden will even remember he's even leaving office. Like at this point, the craziest thing about the whole Biden thing, and I don't want to get too political, but Biden basically done admitted that he's unfit to run for president for the next 4 years, which I'm glad he did. I think he came to his senses, or he at least remembered, nigga, you still got to do a job. Here's my thing. If you ain't qualified for the next 4 years, nigga, you know the next 4 years would have literally started in like 5 or 6 months. That's when the new president would be like inaugurated, right? So if you ain't qualified for that, nigga, why you qualified for now? Nigga, go home. Just go to the retirement home. Just bow out gracefully. Walk away. Let Kamala let her get a test run at the job. That's all I'm saying. Let her get a test run. Let's see if she got like 5 months. Let's see if she look presidential out of that bitch. But anyway. It's all good. Cool. Yo, y'all gotta watch this. This is crazy. Okay, and I feel like